Hello everyone, my name is Pixlriffs, welcome back to the Ender Fort and happy Halloween. This is probably the first time I've been back to the Ender Fort so soon after doing a Snapshot video, but Snapshot 15W44B has added a bunch of really interesting stuff to the game which I thought was worth sharing with you. Normally the B update is kind of bug fixes, usually if something major goes wrong, but seeing as they are so close to being feature complete for Minecraft 1.9, they have added a couple of things into the game that I thought was definitely worth sharing with you guys. To start off with, the reason we're atop the main gate right now is that I've got these hay bales down here, and hay bales now actually limit the amount of fall damage you take to about 20%. So 80% of the fall damage you would normally receive is absorbed by the hay bales, and you only take a really small amount of damage. To demonstrate that, I'm going to go into survival mode and quickly clear off the chat so that's not in the way of my health bar. If we jump down onto there, I take a heart and a half of damage, which is really not very much, and yes, I'm playing on peaceful, but that doesn't normally affect full damage. So if we go back here in creative mode and jump off the other side in survival, like so, clear that off. If you jump off now, see, that was like 6 hearts of damage, which is a lot of damage absorption. People on Reddit have been testing this, and it turns out that you can fall up to 100 blocks onto hay bales and still survive. 101 and you die, but 100 blocks will land you with still half a heart, and I'm pretty sure that the regular amount of damage you could take in survival is 23 blocks worth of falls, so that is quite a significant difference, and is something that I think is probably a little bit inspired by Assassin's Creed, but that was suggested a while ago, and I think it's a really, really interesting change. It's going to make giant falls in your base a lot easier to do, because all you'll need, you won't even need a slime block anymore, you'll just need a block of wheat, which is a lot easier to obtain in slime if you're not entirely sure what you're doing at the start of the game. You'll also notice the the stair textures have been messed up a little bit in the snapshot. Don't worry, they've got that on the bug fix list. I'm pretty sure it's fixed already, but yeah, there's a couple of really interesting looking stair textures, including this one, which I quite like, with the whole texture of the block just kind of condensed into that top corner. But we have a couple of other interesting things to check up on, and you'll notice in the last video I didn't really mention the fact that the skeleton horse drop of end crystals was going to be a placeholder. That is not the final way you were going to get them in the game. That was just the method of obtaining them in that particular snapshot. Now they have a crafting recipe, and this is it. It's really quite simple, actually. If you get 7 blocks of glass, an eye of ender, and a ghast tier, you have everything you need. And obviously this means going to the nether and fighting a ghast, getting blaze powder, finding an enderman. So it's fairly difficult to obtain in standard survival conditions, but you build it pretty much like a beacon, like this, with the eye of ender in the middle and the ghast tier in there, and you can pop out an end crystal. So you can basically now generate these to your heart's content if you have access to the right resources, which I know a lot of experienced players will find pretty easy. And that's kind of cool way of doing things. People have been kind of speculating about the crafting recipe and what exactly it kind of means, and people are saying, well, the dragon gets regeneration from the end crystal, so that's kind of where the ghast tier comes in, because it's used in potions of regeneration. Eye of Ender's a bit of an easy one, and the item itself actually looks like it's surrounded in glass, so that makes perfect sense. The next crafting recipe is something I am so glad they've added to the game, and that is that end rods are now craftable. In fact, you can probably do this in your 2x2. You don't even need to go into a crafting interface. It's just a popped chorus fruit and a blaze rod, and you get 4 end rods, and you have no idea how happy I am that this is in the game now, because oh my goodness, I want end rods to decorate all of my interiors. But there you have it. End rods are now obtainable, renewable in survival, and pretty easily too. Popped chorus fruit are going to be very, very easy to come by once you've gone to the end. So they're obviously making sure that you go to the end before you get the crafting recipe for these. Also, blaze farms are going to be so important now, with needing to get blaze rods for this and blaze powder for brewing. Time to work on a blaze farm design, I think. Last but not least, there is actually a way to get tipped arrows in the game now, and that is by shooting them through the cloud provided by a lingering potion. Now I'm going to use regeneration as an example here. Just shoot a few arrows into this. You'll notice the cloud disperses pretty quickly, as it always has, and the potion effects will disperse quite quickly on the arrows, so you do need to be kind of quick with these, which has interesting connotations if you want to enchant arrows with, for example, harming or something like that, because you're going to have to walk through this basically a poisoned cloud in order to get the arrows with the effects. Now, I'm not sure if this is permanent. This might be changing again in the snapshot immediately following this or in 1.9's full release if people think it's a little bit too difficult. And obviously the way to get these most efficiently would be to automate them with dispensers. Unfortunately, in Snapshot 15W44B you can't, because dispensers now drop out arrows like that instead of firing them, and we're pretty convinced this is a bug. I think it's in the bug tracker already for them to fix, so hopefully by the next snapshot that should be all resolved. But that is some crafting recipes that have now been added to the game, and it's very exciting to see those actually implemented now, because people are going to want to make decorations with the end crystals and end rods, so I'm very, very happy that they are in the game. I'm just going to quickly clear my inventory to show you this last thing, which is something I actually discovered whilst I was browsing around the crafting interface and the creative inventory, and that is... Let's clear that message off right now. That is luck is now in effect in the game. It's primarily there as a potion of luck, which, as far as I know, so far is not brewable. The ingredient you'd expect to use in crafting a potion of luck would be a rabbit's foot, but I don't think that's going to be possible right now because they're still used for potions of leaping. So it'll be interesting to see if these are brewable in the game or just findable in loot chests, but I'm pretty sure the idea is that you find one in a loot chest, and drinking it will give you 5 minutes of luck, and luck is illustrated by that kind of 4-leaf clover pattern, and right now the only thing it really affects is fishing. It basically does the same thing as Luck of the Sea and Lure do. Like, you have a chance to get better treasure, I think. Even though Lure gives you a better chance of getting fish and reduces the chance of treasure. So it's one or the other anyway. And there is now that basically all loot in the game, including from chests and mob drops and fishing, is basically... Oh, it's the potion particles. I thought my fishing line was like flashing green for a second. I was like, that's an interesting effect of the luck. Now that all loot in the game is data-driven, they've been able to basically implement it so luck will actually give you better quality items if you have the effect in place when you open a loot chest or get mob drops or something. I don't think it actually works for chests and mobs yet. I think that's something that they still have to implement if they're going to. And obviously my luck today is just dependent on whether or not I can actually get anything to bite. And I just got a fish, so that's not the perfect demonstration of it, but I assure you that is how it works in the code. Luck is also available from the creative inventory in lingering potion form, in splash potion form, and it always takes 5 minutes with the splash potion and the regular potion. With lingering, it's 1:15, and you can even get arrows of luck, which last for 37 seconds. So if you fancy shooting your friends with an arrow of luck, you'll probably need to grab those from the creative inventory. I'm going to clear off these effects because I have one last thing to show you, and this is going to be very, very interesting, especially from a map making perspective, and that is bad luck. Bad luck has been added into the game as well, because as you know, in Minecraft they like to have a negative version of effects that are positive. For example, potions of poison are kind of the opposite of potions of regeneration. So if we now give myself some bad luck, if it's Minecraft and then unluck is the code for it, and let's go say 200 seconds, you'll notice this kind of wilted clover design appears in the potions HUD in the top right, and I now have bad luck, and that does pretty much what it says on the tin. It's the opposite of the luck effect, meaning if I went fishing now, I would probably end up getting a bunch of junk. If I opened a loot chest now, I probably wouldn't get very great loot. I'd end up with, empty buckets and string and stuff like that, all the stuff that you really don't want to see in loot chests. So that is really interesting, and is not currently an effect that I think is obtainable in survival. If you end up brewing potions of luck, then you might end up brewing potions of bad luck, fermenting them with the spider eye like you do in the current game to change, say, night vision potions into potions of invisibility, that kind of thing, like reversing the effect. So it will be interesting to see if those get implemented for survival, or if that's just going to be something laid in for map makers, or maybe even findable in loot chests. But that is going to be it for today's update. There's a lot of interesting stuff going on, and with 1.9 on the horizon being nearly feature complete, I can't wait to see what happens in the final version of the update. So thank you guys so much for watching this. My name has been Pixlriffs. Please leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe to my channel if you want to see more, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye for now. Kane83, Page of Maces, Swordfish Plays, Zloey XP, Oviraptor, B-Ran and Jefferson all have chests left outside of their base. That was a bit of a marathon pranking session. Oh yes, and we can't forget Clandlewood, who was right at the start.